On this Inside Line, I'm looking at a convenient way to hold your cell phone and an action camera that bolts directly to the dash for the 2020 and newer Jeep Gladiator and Jeep Wrangler JL. So the whole concept behind this got started when I was in the driver's seat of the high-lift Jeep Wrangler JL. They had a 67 Designs dual mount in it that was for cell phones, and I thought, man, this was pretty handy. Maybe I would use it, and they were nice enough to let me try it out. I put one of my DJI Osmo Actions in it just to see what the footage would look like. Then I put my phone in there and drove out on the beach, and I was surprised at how well and steady it kept the camera. Now, fast forward to what I ended up opting for, and that is the Bulletproof Mounting Solutions Kit. Now, this is a single phone mount with a GoPro mount that goes right beside it. I kind of generically call it a GoPro mount. Any action cam is designed to thread onto it. So for my needs, I thought it would work really well. I'm going to be putting it in my Gladiator. It does not have navigation, so oftentimes I will use the phone as my nav. So it's going to be handy to have a phone at that high of an angle regardless. So I'm stoked on that, but I'm really curious to see how it works holding one of the action cameras. You know, I do a lot of reviews, if you're familiar with the channel, on the Jeeps and the modifications that I make. And most of the time I'll use these big suction cup mounts to go on the inside of the windshield. Now, having something like this would really take away the need for that. So I figured, you know what, for no more than it cost and what it was providing, I thought it was a worthwhile investment. Installing this is fairly easy. It has adhesive on the bottom side. It's going to go in the little dash tray. You literally pull out the rubber that's on the top of the dash for the dash tray. There's one screw. It's at a little bit of an angle, and then you pop this thing in with the adhesive backing off and then screw it in place. Now, Bulletproof does send a handful of extra screws if you want to screw in the bracket a little bit more. It is a metal bracket. It's probably not a terrible idea. As of right now, I'm going to test it without doing the additional screws and see if it's sturdy enough to hold the camera and see how everything works. If I find that this thing rattles or shakes more than I'd like it, I'll go back and do the additional screws. For right now, I'm not going to do that. Also, you will need to trim down your mat if you want to reuse it. I like the little rubber mat, so I'll do that. Not a big deal. You can take a razor blade, scissors. Again, not a difficult install. Gonna let this thing cure for about 24 hours, and then let's go off-road and see what the actual camera view looks like being at that angle, and how this thing works, if it shakes, if it's worthwhile. You know, for I think it was around $75 when I purchased this thing. You know, this could be a great investment for some. You know, it's definitely cheaper than the 67 Design one. I'm not saying it's a superior product. I'm not saying it's not a superior product. I just, when I saw how expensive the 67 Design one was, I looked at other options, and this one was quite a bit cheaper. So let's see how it works. So to pop it in, all you have to do is slide this part over and go like that. I've got an iPhone 12. It's in a case and it fits in here fairly well. It does look like you've got a little bit more room to go, so you could, you know, well, actually you got a lot more room to go, so you could put a wider phone in here. The first thing that I noticed immediately is that if the arm is resting on the dash, driving down the road, you're gonna get vibration. So you need to make sure your arm is just a touch off of the dash, and it'll take away any audible like rattling or anything like that. It definitely sits high. It's a little bit higher than I thought. And I mean, it's perfect for line of sight, especially I think if you're using this for navigation. It's really right there. It's not blocking my view. You know, this arm can move one way or the other. Matter of fact, you could actually mount this where the GoPro mount is and swap that mount. Since it's just these clamp style, you know, joints, it's not a real big deal to do that. But just so you know, if you get it and you notice a little bit of rattle, just don't let that arm rest on the dash, and I think that'll take away at least that problem. But so far I like it. It's a pretty high mount. I'll get into the maps here in a second and see how that looks going down the road. Go ahead and give you some road footage here. Nothing terribly exciting, although there is a nice JL on ridge grapplers in front of me. You know, I'll be curious to see how this looks. You know, sometimes when you have GoPro or DJI Osmo Action like I have, and it's right there behind the glass, you'll get that, you'll see the imperfections in the glass, or you'll pick up that sort of reflection there, and it doesn't always look that great. I've got the rock steady feature off of this just to kind of give you a better idea of what that'll look like, and I'll turn my phone here in a second and give you an idea of what on-road looks like with the phone. This is the iPhone in the mount. I've turned the phone because I'm not a monster and I would never give you vertical video unless I could help it. I'm just looking at it going down the road, and I can tell it already looks a lot shakier than using the other one. I think part of that is just the leverage of the arm hanging off so much. You know, the iPhone 12's got decent in-camera stabilization, but I'm also picking up the DJI just in the top right hand corner, so you might be able to do a little bit of adjustments with your phone so you don't get that, but just FYI, this is kind of like your highway. I'm not sure how usable this is going to be. So this is what I think is really the most helpful for navigation. You know, this is the 7-inch screen, so it doesn't have the navigation. Now you can plug in your phone and it'll do the Apple Play, and you can get where you can see it here. I don't always plug in my phone. If you know, especially if I'm just running up somewhere and I'm not sure where the address, I'll plug it into my phone real quick. So I feel like that's super helpful. You know, I like having it sort of right here. Don't feel like I'm looking around for it. It's more heads up than it is anything else. So that's a positive. I would say, you know, it doesn't shake or bounce around enough to be obnoxious where I can't see it, but it's definitely not super steady. Makes me wonder if it's going to be worth screwing those extra screws in eventually. I mean, it's not wildly rattly, and you know, I almost wonder if I'm not really seeing, it's not the dash portion moving, it's just the arm that's moving. And I think I could probably, yeah, you can see it's just the arm itself that's vibrating from the dash. So I wonder if I could put like a little piece of foam underneath this arm, and that would keep the vibration out of there. But you know, actually letting it rest on the dash, I think, you know, as I found, made it worse. So not bad. I mean, I think that's super handy. I actually like it horizontally mounted for driving around because it doesn't seem like it's so obnoxious, and I don't think I'd be driving with this too much on the highway with the action cam. All right, to get an idea of how this thing was going to work off-road, drove out here to the beach at full street pressure in the Gladiator, so it's probably going to be a little bouncy, but that's going to be a good test for this. So go ahead and hit record on the phone, hit record on the Osmo, and let's see what it does. It's definitely plenty of ruts and little chatter stuff out here, so kind of give you an idea of what this footage will look like, how well this thing sort of stays together. You know, I think this is one of those times where, you know, time lapses are really neat because you can speed up the footage and it'll actually end up looking smoother for you. So if you're somebody that isn't going to carry an action cam with you, but you do have your cell phone and you don't want to get all this, you know, chatter, especially hearing from my voice, you can actually go in and just do create like a time lapse, and it'll look very smooth. I'm looking at it right now as we're driving, and it's, you know, I think we're going 14 miles an hour, and it's not terribly shaky, but I can see the iPhone's definitely moving around, and you can probably hear it in my voice. There's plenty of little like chatter bumps and stuff out here that are shaking you around, but that's to be expected. I got about 30 PSI in these 37-inch trail grapplers. We're currently in 4x4 high. Got the front sway bar disconnected, and we're in second gear, just cruising along. Yep. And the beautiful payoff of the Atlantic Ocean. That's nice. Doesn't look like anybody's out here today. Beach to myself. Woohoo! Okay, so this is the center view of the action camera with it flipped around. So again, this is just for you like vlogger guys that want to see what it looks like inside of the cab. I actually think if I had my family in here, you could almost see everybody. Could probably adjust it a little bit more. You could probably get all their heads in there. So if you want to get a reaction of your kids going over something, this might be a good view for that. Okay, so now that I've actually been able to check out the footage, what I'll say is this: no matter what type of camera you use, it will benefit greatly from some type of internal stabilization. Now, I use a lot of the DJI Osmo Action. They have something called Rocksteady, and that's definitely going to improve the footage quality. Initially, I turned it off on the action cam because I just wanted to see how much shake I'd get out of it. And I blame a little bit of it, you know, the dash is going to move around, going off-road, it's definitely going to vibrate a little bit more, but with the Rocksteady on and having an increased stabilization, it really helps. Now, my iPhone 12, driving down the road or off-road, looking at it, it looked like it was really going to be almost unusable footage because it looked like the phone was shaking a lot. However, I got back and it really wasn't terrible. And I think if you're just posting up clips to even just YouTube, Instagram, anywhere, it's not that bad. It's livable. And I think it's kind of that convenience factor. If you are out there wheeling with your friends and somebody's getting ready to do something crazy in front of you, your phone's already right there. Bam, you hit record and you can kind of, get that moment really easily versus trying to put a big suction mount somewhere and say, hold on, let me turn on my camera. So it's nice. I know a lot of people are going to be using their phone to record video more than they are action cams. Having the action cam mount there is pretty nice though. If you're off-road and you're trying to document your journey, whether you just want to get your family's reaction or you want to kind of show people what the trail looks like, I think it's pretty convenient. It's kind of middle of the road in terms of expense. It's cheaper than the 67 design one, a little bit more expensive than I believe the Rugged Ridge one, but I think you're getting a pretty good value. Not a dirt cheap upgrade, but if you're somebody that uses their phone a lot, especially for maps, I think you'll find it's a convenient feature. And if you're somebody that really likes to document your off-road journeys, you'll appreciate how sort of convenient it is to have that there. So that's my 2 cents on this setup. I hope you guys found it informative, enjoyable, all that good stuff. If you have any questions for me, you can always find me at Ali Mansour Editor on Instagram. And please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Let us know how we're doing on these videos, and I hope to see you guys on the trail soon. Bye-bye.